Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic are finally going to fight at UFC 309. This fight, in my opinion, it should have happened way back in July of 2023 during International Fight Week because Jon Jones took out Ciryl Gane without taking any damage, and they should have probably both fought on that card, but it didn't happen at UFC 290. Then the UFC pushed it back to the Madison Square Garden card because it is a big fight, and that got cancelled, and then it got pushed back by a whole year. And I'm not Muslim, but inshallah, this fight is going to happen tomorrow or this Saturday because I'm recording this on Thursday, so there's still a chance that something goes down at the weigh-ins. Maybe Stipe can't make it to the fight, and then Tom Aspinall steps up. But Jon Jones, knowing what he's done in the past and how he didn't want to take up a short notice fight against Chael Sonnen, he's definitely not going to take a 24-hour notice fight against Tom Aspinall. That would be a shame to have such a good event get canceled like that, or at least a main event. So hopefully Stipe shows up, but if he does, I do think that Jon Jones is actually going to beat him. I think that Jon Jones is going to win this fight by submission, but I do think that this fight is going to be closer than a large portion of people seem to think. People are completely writing off Stipe. They're saying he's 42. He hasn't fought in like 3 years. He just got knocked out by Francis Ngannou. But when you really think about it, Stipe Miocic being 42 years old and his last fight being a knockout loss to Francis Ngannou is not going to have any effect on this fight. And that's firstly because Stipe Miocic is not an attributes fighter. He is a fighter that is not the fastest guy. He's not the most powerful guy. He's not the most athletic guy. But he is fairly balanced in all aspects. He's got good endurance. He's got good power. He's got decent speed. He doesn't really rely on attributes like a guy like a Tom Aspinall or even a guy like Jon Jones. Stipe he kind of reminds me of a guy like Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz doesn't really rely on attributes. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy. But he is very technically sound. He's got good endurance, and he's able to keep up with younger fighters through the basics and the fundamentals of MMA. And I think that Stipe Miocic is similar to Jan Blachowicz in that way, that he doesn't really need those fast switch muscles like a guy like Aspinall or things like that. And the thing about the age, it would really apply to him if he was a guy like Tom Aspinall, right? If he was super fast, or if he was a guy like Ciryl Gane who relied on his reflexes, his speed, everything that comes with that sort of style of a guy like Ciryl Gane. But Stipe isn't like that. He's a very, respectfully, he's a basic fighter. He's what you would see out of a lot of regular gyms out there. Like, your coaches will tell you to stick to the fundamentals, and you're not going to see guys like Ciryl Gane out there. But yeah, I think that Stipe, his style isn't going to be affected by his age. I don't think his fighting ability is really going to be that much affected by his age. And then when it comes to his last fight being 3 years ago, I mean, yeah, his timing might be a bit affected, but Jon Jones isn't going to knock him out within 1 or 2 rounds, and that's how long it's going to take Stipe to get his timing and get his rust off. But to move away from Stipe Miocic a bit and move towards Jon Jones' side, I think that this is going to be close because Jon Jones did come off a nasty shoulder injury where apparently his whole shoulder was torn apart. And this is very interesting because this is the type of injury that you don't know if the fighter is still going to be the same. I mean, yes, of course, the fighter is going to step in the cage, but what if his shoulder just completely dislocates in there and he's basically a one-arm fighter? We've seen it happen with Gilbert Burns. When he fought Bilal Muhammad, he went for a takedown, and then Bilal defended it, and then they got into a scramble, and Gilbert Burns' shoulder just dislocated. And apparently Gilbert Burns was dealing with some minor injuries before that Bilal Muhammad fight. And during the fight, the injury manifested itself in a major way, and it basically caused Gilbert Burns to fight. And also, we've seen a guy like TJ Dillashaw who stepped in the cage with Aljamain Sterling with a completely dislocated shoulder, and he literally tried to pop it back in, but he just got bullied by Aljamain Sterling. So yeah, maybe the doctors are telling John Jones, yeah, you're good, you're gonna be fine. I mean, you could go in there first grappling exchange, his shoulders completely torn off. And then what? How's he gonna defend the 1-2 Stipe Miocic? How's he gonna defend the body shots? How's he gonna deal with that Stipe Miocic like pressuring style? And I think that those are major factors to consider, and these are reasons as to why I think that this fight is actually gonna be pretty close. But I think that John Jones ultimately is gonna be able to get a finish by submission. But also John Jones, I feel like he is pretty slow in the heavyweight division, and I do think that he is going to get tagged up by Stipe quite a bit, but I think that his chin will hold up. He's shown a legendary chin in the light heavyweight division. He is coming into this fight at 235 pounds, and Stipe, like I heard a while ago, he talked about his Francis Ngannou fight and how he felt like he was too small in there against a proper heavyweight in Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, he's a heavyweight that walks around like 275 pounds, 280, right? And Stipe Miocic, when he fought him, he was around like 236 or something. I mean, yes, you're going to be fast, but you got to have some weight to you to be able to take some massive shots from Ngannou. I mean, Tyson Fury, he was able to take some of Deontay Wilder's punches because he outweighed Wilder by like 50 pounds. Same thing with Zhilei Zhang. There was nearly 100-pound difference between them. I mean, Zhilei Zhang was like 300 pounds, while Wilder was like 214 pounds in there. So that was a huge weight difference, but it helped Zhilei Zhang and Tyson Fury's punch resistance because they had all that extra weight on them. And Stipe, when he fought Ngannou, did not have that punch resistance, and he's talked about how he's bulked up since then. He's talked about how he's walking around at 250 pounds, and this is pretty significant because Stipe is mainly going to be looking to box up John Jones. And yeah, he's going to be heavier in there. So how is John Jones going to deal with the punches of a 250-pound heavyweight with proper technique? I don't know. But I do favor John Jones. I think that he is going to be able to disrupt Stipe Miocic's timing with those oblique kicks. I'm not going to lie, I do think that Stipe Miocic is going to get eye poked in this one. I find it pretty odd that they changed back to the old gloves for this card. They could have done it for the Ilia Topuria Max Holloway card, but apparently there's nothing wrong there. But now there's something wrong. It's a really odd situation. But yeah, I think that Stipe is going to get poked in the eyes, and John Jones is going to be a harder target. And I think that John Jones defensively is going to perform like how he did against Alexander Gustafsson in their second fight. I think that he understands the danger. I think he's been studying Stipe Miocic for pretty much 2 years at this point, right? And I think he is going to be prepared accordingly. And he's basically like got himself the Avengers on his team. I mean, he's got Gordon Ryan, arguably the best jiu-jitsu player in the world right now. He's got Gable Stevenson, an Olympic wrestler, and also he was training with Joseph Parker for a bit. And I feel like, yeah, he is going to be ready for this fight. He is going to come out with a heavy grappling approach, and he is going to beat Stipe Miocic. And after that, I think that both fighters should honestly just retire in the cage, because at the press conference, when that dude asked him, like, hey, are you guys going to... I think he asked Dana White if the winner of that fight was going to fight Tom Aspinall. Both honestly looked like they had seen a ghost, and I feel like they don't want to fight Tom Aspinall. They don't need to. Fair play. Like, just, call it a career. You guys don't have anything more to prove. I mean, if John Jones loses, he might want to stick around. And if Stipe Miocic, wins, I don't see him sticking around. If he loses, I don't think he's interested in any other fights. I think they should both just retire, because the more especially John Jones, the more he talks about Tom Aspinall, the more it just kind of increases this narrative. It sort of adds fuel to the fire that John Jones is ducking him. He should just say, you know what, after this fight, I'm done. Don't say, I'm not going to fight Tom Aspinall, I'm going to fight Derek Lewis. I'm not going to fight Tom Aspinall, I'm going to fight Jamal Hill. I don't want to fight Tom Aspinall. I want to fight Alex Pereira, a guy who literally has fought nothing but strikers and then basically has never gone his wrestling tested at that level. So it just clearly looks like you're avoiding the tough fights. And history shows that that does not end up going well for you. I mean, look at what happened with Tyson Fury. Dude literally was ducking the best heavyweights for Derek Chisora, for Dillian White, for Francis Ngannou, and then he literally got exposed by Usyk. So don't make the same mistake, John Jones. But thanks for watching. God bless.